The battlefield of space was silent now, but the silence was heavy, like the air after a storm. The human soldier floated inside his damaged ship, alarms flashing red across the control panels. The smell of burned wires filled the cabin, and small sparks jumped from broken circuits. He pressed a hand against his side, where blood seeped through his uniform. His body was weak, but his eyes were still sharp. He knew he had survived the attack, but only barely. His fleet was gone. His comrades were gone. And now he was nothing but a single man in a broken machine, drifting among the stars. Then it came. A faint signal. At first, he thought it was another alarm, maybe one final warning before his ship gave up. But when he leaned forward, he saw the words flashing on the cracked screen. Distress call detected. His heart jumped. Someone else was alive out here. He adjusted the comms, and a voice crackled through the static. It was weak, almost fading away, but it was there. A female voice. ... This is Princess Illyria. Trapped, need help. Coordinates attached. The soldier froze. Princess, alien royalty. His training told him to ignore it. He was injured. His ship was failing. Saving himself was already nearly impossible. Yet the thought of another life calling for help, a voice filled with fear and desperation, struck something deep inside him. He was a soldier, a protector, and no matter the species, no matter the risk, he could not let a call for help go unanswered. He forced his ship to turn, engines coughing and sparking. Metal groaned as he pushed the failing thrusters, steering toward the coordinates. Outside, the blackness of space stretched endlessly, but far ahead, a faint glow appeared. It was another vessel, larger than his, but torn apart by fire and explosions. Its hull was split open like a wounded animal, debris scattered around it like blood in the water. Enemy ships circled it like vultures, their weapons aimed at the broken craft. The soldier narrowed his eyes. This was no simple rescue. It was a trap, a battlefield still alive. But if she truly was inside that burning ship, she would not last long. With a sharp breath, he armed what little weapons his ship had left. His fingers danced across controls, ignoring the pain stabbing in his ribs. His ship roared forward, surprising the enemy fighters with one last attack. Missiles fired. Lasers cut through the dark. Explosions lit the void like fireworks. His own ship shook violently, metal tearing apart piece by piece. But he pressed on, driving straight through the line of enemy ships. For a moment, the enemy scattered, caught off guard by his reckless courage. He slipped through the chaos, aiming directly for the broken vessel. With shaking hands, he matched the coordinates and locked his ship onto the docking port. Sparks exploded as the ships connected with a crash. The lights flickered, then steadied. He grabbed his weapon, pulled on his cracked helmet, and forced the door open. Smoke rushed in, thick and choking. The corridor beyond was dark, lit only by sparks and the dim glow of emergency lights. Bodies of alien guards lay on the floor, their armor scorched. The smell of burning metal and blood filled the air. The soldier moved quickly, each step heavy but determined. His ears picked up faint movement, a whisper, a breath. Following the sound, he reached a sealed chamber door. Scratched across the metal surface was a royal crest, glowing faintly. He slammed his hand against the panel, forcing it open. Inside, lying weak on the floor, was the princess. Her silver skin shimmered even under the dim light, and her eyes glowing pale blue watched him with shock and fear. She wore a torn royal gown, her crown broken at her feet. For a moment, the two stared at each other, human and alien, strangers from different worlds. Then her lips parted, her voice barely audible. "You came," she whispered. He stepped forward, offering his hand. "I'm not leaving you here." He lifted her, her weight light against his strong arms. Alarms blared louder now, warning of collapse. The ship around them trembled as explosions echoed through its structure. He carried her back through the smoke, firing at shadowed enemies who rose in their path. Each shot rang true. Each step pulled them closer to escape, at last. He reached his ship, pushing her inside before collapsing behind her. The docking clamps released, and the engines flared, dragging them both away from the dying vessel. Behind them, the alien ship exploded in a brilliant wave of fire and debris. The soldier leaned back, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion. He looked at the alien princess, her eyes wide with relief but also filled with something else, something darker. She leaned closer, her voice trembling as she spoke. You don't understand what you've done." The soldier frowned, confusion crossing his tired face. But before he could ask, her eyes closed and she slipped into unconsciousness. And in that moment, alone in the dark void, with only her words echoing in his mind, he realized the rescue was only the beginning. The soldier expected cheers when he landed the ship on the alien homeworld. After all, he had saved their princess from certain death. He imagined guards rushing forward in relief, ministers bowing, and a royal father giving thanks. But as the ship's ramp lowered, he saw only silence. The platform was crowded with alien figures stall. Silver-skinned beings with glowing blue eyes, their robes lined with strange symbols. They stood in perfect rows, motionless, their faces unreadable. No smiles, no clapping hands. Only cold, watchful stares. He helped the princess walk down the ramp. Her steps were weak, her body trembling, but her head was held high, her royal pride unbroken. As soon as her feet touched the ground, the crowd bowed deeply, almost as if a storm had passed overhead. But then, every glowing eye turned toward the human soldier. Their gaze was not of gratitude. It was heavy, sharp, and filled with something else, fear. The soldier frowned. He had felt this kind of silence before, back on battlefields where soldiers looked at someone who had crossed an invisible line. He rested a hand on his weapon, though he did not raise it. From the crowd, a tall figure stepped forward. His robes were darker than the others, decorated with golden threads. His voice echoed across the platform, calm but commanding. "You are the one who brought her back." The soldier nodded. "She would have died. I did what had to be done." The alien leader's eyes narrowed. "Then you must know what this means." The soldier tilted his head. "It means I saved her life. Nothing more." At those words, a ripple passed through the crowd. Their whispers rose like a wind, soft but endless, until the whole platform hummed with quiet voices. The princess turned to him, her glowing eyes filled with conflict. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, as if her throat refused the truth. Finally, she whispered, "You should not have saved me." The soldier's chest tightened. "I don't understand." The alien leader raised a hand, silencing the whispers. His voice carried like thunder. "By our oldest law, by the words carved in the stars themselves, any being who saves the royal blood owes the sacred price." The soldier shook his head, confused. "Sacred price? What kind of nonsense is that? I don't want anything from you. I don't want reward. I don't want your gold. I just did my duty." But the leader's expression did not change. "It is not about reward. It is about debt. You are no longer your own. From this moment forward, you belong to her." The soldier froze, the words striking him harder than any bullet. Belong to her. He turned to the princess, searching her face for denial, for a sign that this was a mistake. But her eyes only lowered, filled with shame. The whispers of the crowd grew louder, their glowing eyes burning with judgment. Some faces looked almost pitying, others cold and satisfied, as if watching fate deliver its cruel hand. The soldier clenched his fists. "I am a human. I am not your servant. I don't belong to anyone." But the princess finally spoke, her voice soft, trembling. "It is not a choice. It is tradition. The bond cannot be broken." He stared at her, disbelief twisting in his chest. He had risked his life, fought through fire and blood, and saved her from death. And this was his reward: to be chained by some alien tradition he never agreed to. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, the sky above the alien city glowed violet and silver. Strange towers rose around him, their tips pulsing with light. This world was beautiful, but he suddenly felt like a prisoner standing inside a gilded cage. The alien leader stepped closer, his shadow falling over the soldier. "The bond has already begun. Look at your arm." The soldier lowered his gaze, and his blood ran cold. Across his skin, glowing marks were spreading like fire beneath the flesh. They twisted into patterns he did not understand, curling into symbols that burned with a faint blue light. He tried to wipe them away, but they remained, pulsing with life. The crowd gasped softly, some bowing deeper, others whispering even faster. The princess touched his arm gently, her own fingers glowing faintly with the same light. "It has chosen you. The bond is sealed." His heart pounded, anger boiling inside him. "No, this is not my fate. I didn't ask for this." But deep inside, beneath the pain and confusion, he felt something strange. A weight pressing against his soul, as if an invisible chain had wrapped around him, connecting him to the princess standing before him. The alien leader's voice echoed once more. "You saved the royal blood. You carry the mark. And now, whether you wish it or not, you will pay this sacred price." The soldier's breath grew heavy. His instincts screamed at him to run, to fight, to break free. But as he looked at the princess, her face pale with sorrow, her glowing eyes trembling, he realized the truth. The night sky above the alien city was alive with strange constellations, stars forming shapes the soldier could not name. From the balcony of the royal temple, he stood alone, staring at the glowing marks on his arm. They pulsed softly, almost in rhythm with his heartbeat, as if alive. He had tried to scrub them away, burn them, even cover them, but nothing worked. Wherever he went, the symbols followed him like chains carved into his flesh. Behind him, the great hall echoed with chants. Alien priests in silver robes surrounded a massive crystal that floated in the air, glowing with blue fire. Their voices rose and fell in unison, each word sharp and ancient, carrying the weight of centuries. The soldier could not understand their language, but he felt the power of their ritual in his bones. At the center stood the princess, Eloria. She wore a ceremonial robe now, her broken crown replaced with a silver circlet that shimmered like starlight. Her eyes, once filled with fire when she defied her enemies, now carried something else, guilt, heavy and unshakable. She looked at him often, as though she wanted to speak, but the priests kept her in the center, their hands raised, their chants rising higher. Finally, the alien leader from before stepped forward. His voice carried across the chamber. "Human soldier, you bear the mark of bonding. You are now part of the sacred tradition. You are bound to the royal blood until death frees you." The soldier clenched his fists. "I didn't agree to this. I saved her life. That's all. I didn't sign up for your rituals, your marks, or your chains." The leader's glowing eyes hardened. "The bond does not ask for your agreement. It is older than consent, older than war, older even than kings. It is written in the roots of our people. To save the royal blood is to be bound. The bond chooses, not you." Anger burned in his chest. "Then I'll break it." The leader only lifted a finger, pointing at the marks. They flared brightly, a heat stabbing through the soldier's arm, racing into his chest. He gasped, falling to one knee as the pain spread like fire. The princess cried out, clutching her own armwear. Glowing marks appeared on her skin. Identical to his, the soldier's eyes widened. She was marked too. The leader's voice echoed again, calm, merciless. Break the bond, and you both suffer. Refuse it, and you both die. Accept it, and perhaps you both survive. The soldier looked at Eloria, her breath shaking, her eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. She whispered softly, her voice breaking through the chants. I am sorry. I should have told you. I prayed no one would ever save me because I knew the price. But you chose to act. The soldier's chest tightened. He had saved her because it was the right thing to do. Because he was a soldier and no one should die abandoned. But now that single choice had shackled him to an alien princess in a world that did not want him, under laws he did not understand. The leader gestured and the chanting stopped. The silence pressed heavy on every ear. He spoke the final words. Of the ritual, from this moment, you are no longer separate. Your life and hers are threads of the same cloth. Your path is her path. Your fate is her fate. Until the price is paid, you cannot be free. The chamber's crystal flared, sending a wave of blue light across the hall. The marks on their arms blazed like fire, then dimmed, leaving behind a faint glow that would never fade. The bond was complete. The soldier staggered to his feet, breathing heavily. He glared at the leader, then at the priests, then finally at the princess. What happens now? What exactly is this price? But no one answered. The leader only bowed his head, his face unreadable. The priests lowered their hands, their chants ending. And the princess looked away, her silence sharper than any blade. The soldier turned. Fury in his chest, but the marks burned again, and his body weakened. He realized something horrifying. His strength was no longer fully his. The bond had stolen part of it, tied it to her. He stared at Eloria, his voice low, filled with anger, but also fear. I don't belong to you. I don't belong to anyone. Her eyes met his, glowing faintly. You belong to the bond, and so do I. For a long moment, silence hung between them. Two strangers bound by a law neither wanted, their lives tangled by destiny. The soldier clenched his fists, his mind racing. Somewhere deep inside, he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The bond was not just a chain, it was a door to something darker, something larger, something that would soon demand more than either of them was ready to give. And when that moment came, the price would be more than either could imagine. The palace was quiet that night, but the soldier did not trust the silence. He walked through the alien halls, their walls made of silver stone that glowed faintly with its own light. Strange carvings ran along the surfaces, telling stories of kings, battles, and gods. But he did not stop to look. His instincts told him danger was close, and instincts had kept him alive more times than luck ever had. The bond on his arm pulsed again. Each time it flared, he felt a wave of unease, as if something unseen had entered the room. He pressed his palm against it, but the glow would not dim. It was like a warning signal he could not ignore. Earlier, the princess had tried to explain their tradition, but her words had been cautious, unfinished, as if she feared something beyond the law itself. The bond is not only sacred, she had whispered. It is dangerous. Then she had turned away, her face pale. The soldier remembered those words now as he reached the balcony overlooking the city. The alien capital stretched out beneath him, towers rising like blades of crystal, lights pulsing across the sky. Beautiful, yes, but in that beauty was a coldness. He did not feel welcome here. He heard movement, soft, careful, not the heavy steps of guards, but the deliberate rhythm of someone hiding in shadows. His hand slid to the weapon at his side. A shadow detached itself from the wall. A figure cloaked in black, face hidden by a mask, moved swiftly across the balcony. The soldier raised his weapon, but the assassin was faster, striking with a blade that glowed red at its edge. Sparks flew as metal met metal, the clash echoing into the night. The soldier fought back, his body aching but his reflexes sharp. The assassin's strikes were precise, each one aimed to kill, but he blocked, countered, forced the masked figure back. The glow of his bond flared brighter, and to his shock, the assassin froze for half a heartbeat, almost staggered by the light. That hesitation saved him. The soldier shoved forward, knocking the blade away. He pressed his weapon against the assassin's chest. "Who sent you?" The masked figure tilted its head. Then, in a voice low and filled with venom, it whispered a name. His name. The soldier stiffened. How could this stranger know him? Before he could ask again, the assassin moved with inhuman speed, twisting free, and leaped over the balcony. The figure disappeared into the violet night, vanishing like smoke. The soldier stood frozen, his weapon still raised, his heart pounding. Whoever the assassin was, they had not come for the princess. They had come for him. Footsteps rushed behind him. Guards stormed onto the balcony, weapons raised. At their head was the princess, her eyes wide with fear. What happened? The soldier lowered his weapon slowly. An intruder. They knew my name. The princess's face paled even more. That should be impossible. No one here should know who you are. Yet they do, the soldier said grimly. He looked at her, his voice sharp. And I don't think they were trying to kill you tonight. They were trying to kill me. The guards searched the shadows, but found nothing. The assassin had vanished completely. Still, the soldier felt the bond pulsing, warning him again, as if the danger had not ended, but only paused. Later that night, the princess found him in the chamber where he rested. She looked exhausted, her silver skin dim under the soft light. For a long time, she did not speak. Then finally, she whispered, "There are whispers in the council. Not all wanted me to return alive. Some believe my death would save our world." The soldier frowned. "Your own people?" She nodded slowly. "The throne is heavy, and enemies hide even in the palace. My rescue embarrassed them. And now, because of the bond, they cannot remove me without removing you." The soldier sat in silence, the weight of her words sinking in. He had thought the bond was the greatest threat, but now he understood. By saving her, he had not only tied himself to an alien princess, he had stepped into a web of politics and betrayal that stretched across her empire. The princess lowered her gaze. "You must be careful. If the assassin failed tonight, they will try again. They will not stop until one of us is gone." The soldier clenched his fists, feeling the marks burn against his skin. He had fought enemies in open battlefields against soldiers with flags and uniforms. But this was different. This was war fought in shadows, by blades in the dark. He looked at her, his voice steady. "Then let them come. I've survived worse," but deep inside, he knew this was not like anything he had faced before. Whoever the hidden enemy was, they knew his name. They knew his weakness, and they would not stop until they tore the bond both of them apart. The palace walls no longer felt like safety. After the attack, the soldier noticed the way the guards avoided his eyes, the way council members whispered when he passed. He was not a hero to them. He was a problem man outsider, chained to their princess by a bond older than memory. And in a city of shining towers and glowing streets, he had never felt more alone. But he was not truly alone. The bond ensured that. Whenever the soldier tried to distance himself, whenever he tried to ignore the weight of it, the glow would return, pulling him back toward her. It was as if the universe itself refused to let him escape. One evening, He found the princess standing on the balcony, her silver skin reflecting the twin moons above. She looked fragile against the vast night. Yet there was strength in the way she held herself, refusing to bend even under the burden of her people's laws. "You should hate me," she said, without. Turning, the soldier leaned against the doorway, crossing his arms. "Why would I?" "Because your life is no longer your own," she whispered. "Because you carry a mark meant for my kind, not yours. Because if you stay, the sacred price will take you." The soldier shrugged, though the words cut deeper than he admitted. "I don't hate you. I made my choice. I could have ignored your call, left you to die. But I didn't." Her glowing eyes finally met his, filled with a mixture of sorrow and something else, something softer. "You do not understand. My people believe the bond is fate, but fate is cruel. It binds lives together only to demand one life in the end. You should have let me go." The soldier gave a small smile, weary but genuine. "I'm a soldier. We don't walk away from the battlefield, and we don't walk away from people who need us, even if it's foolish, even if it hurts." Her lips parted as if to argue, but no words came. For the first time since they met, silence between them did not feel like a wall. It felt like a bridge. Days passed, and the bond began to change. It was no longer just a mark on their arms. It became a thread pulling at their senses. When she felt fear, his chest tightened. When he felt anger, her pulse quickened. Their lives were no longer separate currents, they were a river flowing into one path. The soldier hated it at first. He wanted his mind to be his own, his emotions untangled. But then came the small moments. He would see her watching the city, her face lit with sadness, and he would feel it tooth the weight of being trapped by duty. And she, in turn, would sense his loneliness, the memories of lost comrades, the endless silence of space after battles. She did not speak of it, but her eyes softened when she looked at him, as if she finally understood the wounds he carried. One night, while the palace slept, the bond flared with sudden heat. Both jolted awake. The soldier grabbed his weapon, scanning the room, while the princess clutched her arm. Her breath quick. "Something is wrong," she whispered. Before he could answer, the doors crashed open. Shadows spilled into the chamber, more assassins, blades glowing with the same red light as before. The soldier moved instantly, firing into the dark, each shot burning holes through the intruders' cloaks. The princess ducked behind him, but when one assassin lunged too close, she lifted her hands to the soldier's shock. Blue fire erupted from her palms, throwing the enemy back in a blaze of light. She had power tied to her blood. Power he had never seen before. When the last attacker fell, silence returned, broken only by their ragged breaths. The soldier stared at her, wide-eyed. "You could have done that before?" She lowered her hands, trembling. "I should not have used it. My people forbid me from revealing it. But the bond, it forced me. I felt your fear, and it broke my restraint." The soldier's chest heaved, his weapon still warm in his grip. Slowly, he lowered it. "Then maybe this bond isn't just a curse. Maybe it gives us a chance to survive." The princess looked at him, her glowing eyes reflecting the firelight. For the first time, a faint smile touched her lips. Not of joy, but of fragile hope. In that moment, the soldier realized something dangerous. The bond was no longer only tradition, no longer only fate. It was becoming trust, and trust in a world of betrayal and shadows might be the most dangerous weapon of all. The council chamber was colder than any battlefield the soldier had ever known. No fire burned in the great braziers, no warmth came from the glowing walls. The air itself seemed to weigh heavy, pressing down on his chest as he stood before the circle of alien leaders. At the center, the princess remained silent, her face pale, her eyes shadowed with something she could no longer hide. The leader in golden robes spoke first. his voice steady as stone. The bond has chosen. You have felt its pull. You have seen its power. But you have not yet understood its purpose. The soldier narrowed his eyes. Then tell me. Enough riddles. Enough silence. What is this price you keep whispering about? The chamber fell into a long pause, the kind of silence that carried centuries of fear. Finally, the leader raised his hand, and a great crystal descended from the ceiling, glowing faintly with blue fire. Inside the crystal, shapes moved ghostly figures. Like shadows of the dead, this, the leader said, is the memory of our ancestors. Long ago, our world was struck by a darkness, a plague of energy that devoured life itself. It came not from this galaxy, not from any star we knew. It was something else, something endless, and it nearly destroyed us. The crystal flared, showing visions of entire cities burning, skies collapsing into storms of black fire. The soldier clenched his fists, watching innocence torn apart by something he could not name. But, the leader continued, our ancestors found a way to fight it. They discovered that only through the bond could the royal blood channel enough energy to push the darkness back. The bond gave strength beyond measure, but it demanded balance. A life for a life. One to save thousands. One to stand against the void, and one to be consumed by it. The soldier's chest tightened as the truth unfolded. The sacred price was no treasure, no crown, no honor. It was death. Not hearses. You mean? His voice broke, harsher than he intended. You mean I'm supposed to die for this? The leader's eyes glowed cold. The bond was not created to serve you. It was created to serve all. The human who saved the princess is the one the bond chose. You are its vessel now, and when the time comes, the bond will demand its price. The soldier turned to Eloria, his anger trembling in his voice. You knew. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Her glowing eyes shimmered with tears she fought to hold back. At last, she whispered, yes. The word cut deeper than any blade. You knew, he repeated. His voice low, dangerous. You let me walk into this blind. You let me carry this mark without warning me what it meant. Her voice broke. I tried. I wanted to tell you. But if I spoke the truth before the bond sealed, it would have broken, and both of us would have died. You don't understand. Soldier, this was never about choice. It was destiny the moment you saved me. He staggered back, running a hand through his hair. His life, everything he had left, had been stolen by a single decision, a single act of courage. He had saved her because it was right. And now, that right had cursed him. The leader's voice thundered again. Without sacrifice, our people will fall. The darkness will return. The bond has chosen, and its price must be paid. Your death will save not only her world, but perhaps your own. The darkness spreads again. The soldier laughed bitterly, though there was no joy in it. So that's it. You expect me to smile, march to my end, and call it noble. Eloria stepped forward then, her voice breaking. No, I do not expect you to. I would rather die myself than see you taken by this curse. But the bond does not listen to me. It listens only to the law, written in blood and stars. The bond pulsed on his arm, glowing brighter, almost as if it understood every word. The soldier pressed a hand against it, his teeth clenched. He had seen death before, but never like this, not written into him, not waiting for him like a predator in the dark. He looked at her, his voice softer now, weary. So what do I do, princess? Do I run? Do I fight? Or do I wait for the bond to burn me alive when it decides the time has come? Her eyes locked with his, filled with sorrow. You live. Until the end comes, you live. And maybe together we can find a way to change fate. For the first time, her words carried not only sorrow, but hope. A fragile hope, but hope nonetheless. The soldier closed his eyes, his heart pounding. He knew the truth now. The bond was not just a chain. It was a death sentence, and the clock had already begun to tick. The sky above the alien world burned with fire. Great ships clashed in orbit, their beams cutting through the night like lightning. From the palace balcony, the soldier and the princess watched as the enemy revealed itself, at last the darkness her people had spoken of. Returning, after centuries. It was no ordinary fleet. The ships were black as shadow, their forms shifting like smoke. Where they moved, the stars themselves seemed to vanish, swallowed by a hunger older than time. The soldier felt the bond flare hot on his arm, the marks glowing brighter than ever. Burning into his flesh. "It's begun," Eloria whispered, her voice trembling. "The bond is calling. It wants its price." The soldier clenched his fists, his gaze fixed on the horror in the skies. He had known this moment would come, but not so soon, not so violently. "So this is it," he muttered. "The grand destiny. I die, your world lives." Her eyes flashed with pain. "No, there must be another way. I will not watch you be taken by this curse." But the bond pulsed again, stronger now, sending waves of energy through both of them. The soldier stumbled, catching himself on the stone rail. His vision blurred. He saw flashes, cities in flames, skies torn apart, her people screaming in the dark. The bond showed him what would happen if he refused. Annihilation. He turned to her, his voice low, ragged. "If I do nothing, everyone dies. If I give myself, they live. That's the bargain, isn't it?" Tears glimmered in her glowing eyes. She stepped closer, placing her hand on his arm, where the marks burned. "Maybe, but you are more than a bargain. You are not my prisoner. You are not my sacrifice. You are the only one who ever saw me, not as a crown, not as a law, but as myself." The soldier looked at her, and for the first time, the bond did not feel like a chain. It felt like a thread pulling two lost souls together. He realized then that his choice was not only about death or survival, it was about meaning. Above them, the sky cracked open. A massive shadow descended, the heart of the enemy, its presence drowning the city in fear. The council panicked, the guards fled, but the soldier stood firm. The bond burned hotter, filling his body with power he had never known. His veins glowed blue, his heart thundered with alien fire. Eloria gasped. "It's ready to take you." The soldier smirked through the pain. "Then let's make sure it counts." He turned toward the balcony's edge, lifting his weapon, though he knew bullets and beams meant nothing against this kind of foe. The bond surged, pulling him forward, guiding him. Eloria ran after him, clutching his arm. "You don't have to do this alone." The crystal towers of the city pulsed with energy, as if answering the bond's call. The soldier and the princess stood together at the center of the palace courtyard, lights swirling around them. The bond had not chosen only him. It had chosen them both. The shadow descended, its voice echoing across the sky like thunder. One life for many. One soul for the stars. The price must be paid. The soldier gritted his teeth, shouting into the storm. "Then take me." But here, these humans don't just die. We fight. The bond erupted, blue fire spiraling from his body, mixing with the princess's light. Together, they became a blaze that lit the skies. The darkness shrieked as the energy tore into it, burning through its endless form. The ground shook, towers cracked, but the shadow began to wither. The soldier felt his strength draining. Every heartbeat was a hammer strike against his soul. He knew the end was near. But then he felt her hand in his, her voice in his mind. "If you fall, I fall too. The bond won't take you without me." He turned, eyes wide. "No, You can't, but her grip only tightened. We are one. If fate demands a life, then let it be both of us or neither. The bond flared one last time, brighter than the sun. The soldier roared, the princess cried out, and the darkness screamed as the light consumed it. For a moment, the world vanished in fire. When the light faded, silence returned. The shadow was gone, scattered into dust across the stars. The city stood, broken but alive. Her people lifted their eyes, saved from destruction, and in the courtyard, the soldier collapsed, the marks fading from his skin. He gasped, expecting the end, but he was still alive. Beside him, Eloria fell to her knees, her hands still locked in his. The bond was gone. The price had been demanded, but together they had changed it. Instead of death, they had given something else: defiance. The soldier lay back, exhausted, staring at the twin moons above. He whispered, "Guess fate doesn't know everything." The princess smiled weakly through her tears. No, sometimes fate can be broken, if you're stubborn enough. And in that moment, as the stars returned to the sky, the human soldier and the alien princess knew that their story had only just begun.